is going to be really hard for me. Here comes the glass of ayahuasca, and I'm thinking, oh, you fuck. I'm like, fuck. I was completely out of here. I was blasted out of here. I died. You die and you come back to life. I flew all the way to Mexico lindo y querido, to do an unexpected ceremony with Mother Ayahuasca. This was definitely a life-changing experience that I'm very grateful for, and I'm very excited to share it with you all. So welcome back to Garden Talks, or welcome. On this channel, I love to share videos around medicinal plants such as herbs, as well as magical mushrooms and other psychedelics, and anything around holistic health, holistic healing, and even gardening. So if any of those topics interest you, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. So today's topic is psychedelics. And before I get started, I just want to make a quick disclaimer, as always, because you know how YouTube is. And I also just want to make this disclaimer to everyone that I am not here to influence anyone to go out and about and do psychedelics or drugs of any form. Please do your own research, and whatever you choose to do after this video, that's on you, not me. Again, this video is for educational purposes only. I am simply just sharing my experience. That's another thing that I want to make very clear. I'm simply sharing my experience, what I experienced. Every single person has a different experience when they take psychedelics, so please keep that in mind. This will be a long video, so hang in there and subscribe while you're here. I'm not even sure where to get started, to be honest. I want to make sure that I don't leave out any details about my experience and all, because it was all part of what I went through. So about a month before I sat with ayahuasca, I actually had a DMT trip here at home, on my bed actually, with my partner. Comment below if you want me to share that experience or any of my DMT experiences, because I haven't shared one in over like 3 years. If you look back on my channel, I have a really old video. It's cringy to look at now because I wasn't even putting out or expressing myself the right way. But yeah, comment below if you want to hear that experience. But basically, I took a little trip with DMT, and I was shown a lot actually, and Mother Ayahuasca came to me on my DMT trip. And basically what happened is, like, I took DMT first, like a first round, you can say. And then when I was out of it, because it was very quick, I realized, oh, I need to lay down for this, because that's the only way for me to completely surrender my body and go deeper into my trip. So I told my partner I wanted to do it again, like take another hit of it so that I can break through, because it felt like I could almost break through. As soon as I laid down and I did that, I immediately broke through. And ayahuasca was like, oh, you want to do ayahuasca? Because my first round, that's kind of what I encountered. She's like, oh, you're ready? Like, you just had to say that you were ready and I'll take you on a trip. And it felt like a snake, like movement and all these shamanic sounds and visuals. And it was like taking me, it was showing me so much about life and life in general. I don't want to get too much into that trip because that's another story. But Mother Ayahuasca came to me and she said that I was ready to sit with her. And at that time, I was talking to a friend who was doing a lot of ceremonies in Mexico. And the fact that we reconnected during that time was also very aligned, because it meant that it was truly my time. I strongly believe that psychedelics call you. When you are ready, you will know, because you will grasp that calling. Like, you will get a feel of that calling, whether it be mushrooms, DMT, any psychedelic, you will know. So that was definitely the strongest DMT trip that I have experienced I kind of got a taste of what ayahuasca is like because ayahuasca is DMT. I'm currently reading this book, DMT Spirit Molecule. It's super amazing. After my DMT trip, I met someone in person and they told me about this book, so I took it as a sign. I got it and I highly recommend it. And it does explain how DMT basically is ayahuasca. So if you're not aware, ayahuasca is a psychoactive brew traditionally used by indigenous people in the Amazon for spiritual and healing purposes. The main active ingredients are dimethyltryptamine, DMT, a powerful hallucinogenic compound, and a monoamine oxidase inhibitor that allows DMT to be orally active. Yeah, it allows you to consume the ayahuasca as a liquid, as a brew, as opposed to like DMT, you know, there's different forms. Because in this book, they did a lot of research where they were injecting it in their veins, but you can smoke it, you know? Anyways, I was not planning on doing ayahuasca. Like, I knew that I was ready and I was kind of aware that if it crossed my path, it was definitely my time to sit with her. My trip to Mexico was only a week. If I remember correctly, it was a week. So it was like a short trip to visit a friend, and she invited me to a ceremony. Though because I was only there for, you know, a few days, I didn't have the opportunity to sit for a full like 3-day or more ceremony, because usually that's how long they are. It's like 3 days or more. I only got to do one full night, but for me that experience was still life-changing, even if it wasn't like a full-on 3-night kind of ceremony. So about 3 days before my ayahuasca ceremony, I was invited to do it. And so I didn't have that much time to prepare my body, to be honest, because if you want to experience the full-on effects of her, you really have to actually go like on an ayahuasca diet. Like, there's YouTube videos on this. Really depends how far you want to take it. Like, if you go to the Amazon or, you know, one of those countries, then, and you partake in one of their ceremonies, a lot of them make you go on this ayahuasca diet. And for some, it may be like 30 days of like just pure clean eating, and it's very specific food, even specific fruits and liquids and such. Or it may be like a couple weeks of fasting or a whole week of fasting. It really depends on yourself. But for me, because I didn't know, I only really had like 2 days to prepare my body. But as long as you do like 7 days or at least 3 days before your ceremony, if you follow some of these guidelines that I'll share with you, this is what they shared with me. So you stop ingesting alcohol, fermented foods, aged foods, cure foods such as miso, tofu, yeast, tamari, soy sauce, etc. All meats, but especially red meats such as pork and beef, any dairy, over-ripened fruits, vitamins, supplements, protein drinks, fried food, spicy food. You have to limit the intake of salt, oil, processed sugars, and caffeine. So adequate physical preparation lowers the possibilities of difficult experience and intense purging during the ceremony. Also, keeping a clean diet prior to the ceremony demonstrates your commitment to attend, and it will help you reaffirm your healing intentions. So I'm sharing this just so that you're aware, like, ayahuasca is very, very intense, especially if you're going to sit for more than a day. So if you prepare your body, because if you don't, what's going to happen is you're going to have to purge it all out, whether that be puking or shitting your pants or peeing or both, and it'll just happen. Like, I've seen it happen. I know it's happened to people, so it happens. And so the purging, though, you can't get away from that, but you could definitely limit the amount of purging that you have based on what you consume. Because if you're out here eating a bunch of dead animals, dead meat, all this, you're gonna pay for that during your trip. You will see why. So aside from the physical preparation, your mental preparation is just as important. Personally, I was so nervous and anxious for this because I didn't know what to expect. It's just like having that fear of the unknown and knowing that it's going to be difficult and knowing that you chose to do this, but it's not going to be easy because I've had experience with psychedelics and they're not always easy. Like, you have to go in there, you got to face your demons, you got to see things, you got to feel things, you got to purge things. So it's not easy. It's not easy work. For me, I was feeling so nervous, but at the same time, I felt so ready. The trust and surrender of the unknown before you go into the ceremony is so, so vital. I'm so burnt. You see how burnt I am? I look like a tomato. Yep, I've been in Mexico for a few days. I look like a burnt tomato. I've been in Mexico for a few days now, spending time in the sun, swimming in the Caribbean Sea, spending time connecting with Mama Earth, with the elements, with the element of water. And I'm a few hours away from my very first ayahuasca ceremony. And honestly, I'm scared, obviously, although I don't want to speak that into existence. You know what I mean? But it's natural to feel nervous, to feel scared, not know what to expect. But I feel ready. You know, like I have felt the calling for a couple years now, and the past few weeks more than anything, especially during my last DMT trip a couple weeks ago, I really felt ayahuasca calling me. Mother Ayahuasca, I felt her calling very heavily. So I'm grateful for this opportunity, and I'm really looking forward to what it is that I need. And I'm just ready. I'm expecting to die, you know what I mean? I'm expecting for it to be just intense. I already know there's gonna be a lot of purging, whether it be puking or whatever. I'm expecting it. Especially me, personally, whenever I do psychedelics, specifically mushrooms, like I always gotta purge, you know, so of course I'm expecting that with ayahuasca. And I have set my intentions, you know, a very simple intention. Mainly it is to connect with my purpose here on earth in this lifetime, and to receive whatever it is that I need currently. And that, as simple as that, right? I'm open to receiving. So I'm excited, especially for the day after, how I'm going to feel refreshed, rejuvenated. I'm excited to be able to eat food after, because there's so much good food here, you know. And I will definitely share my experience. We're not allowed to bring phones or electronics in the ceremony, which is amazing. This is going to take place in the middle of the jungle at night. So I will definitely make a video after, sharing my experience and everything that I felt. I look forward to it. Don't forget the toilet paper. We need toilet paper for this. All right, so my experience going there is basically I was in Mexico, like the Yucatan area, and we took like a little mini group taxi to meet up to like another town in Mexico. It was a little ghetto, honestly. And then when we got there, we met up with like a random group of people. It was like all these people that were coming to the ceremony, they were coming on their own taxi or ride, and so we were all meeting up. It was like a group of strangers. You know, I knew my friend, she was doing it with me. And so there's this random group of people, we're all talking amongst each other, getting to know each other, getting to know where they're from, what they're doing here, what their intention is, why they were called to ayahuasca. So that was really beautiful because so many people were from different countries, flew there just for that, and they had been called to do this for a reason. Okay, so a few of the things that we had to bring were either a blanket or a yoga mat or a comforter to sleep on. A pillow was an option. Toilet paper for sure, that was a requirement. Toilet paper, repellent if you wanted, a glass candle, comfortable clothing, definitely comfortable clothing is like a must, comfortable shoes, an extra change of clothes, very important, just in case you need them. And as the offering, we had to bring flowers, either a bottle of water, fruits, seeds, or nuts like almonds and such to share with everybody. So the reason for bringing extra clothes, you already guessed, is because if you purge or you shit your pants or whatever, you want to feel comfortable, you got to change your clothes. So at this point it's nighttime because the ceremony is going to take place in the dark, in complete darkness, outside in the middle of the jungle, no covering. We were just out in the middle of nowhere. So once the whole group had met up, we all got into like a couple cars and we had a couple drivers. They all drove us to like this jungle. It's the special place where ceremonies take place, and there was candles lit up all over the floor, and we all had to put our yoga mat in a circle. It's, you know, nighttime, the stars are all out, and there's outdoor bathrooms. There's candles lit up leading up to these outdoor little bathrooms. And it was a vibe. It was a vibe. You can hear all the animals in the jungle and such. So there was a few shamans. We had 3, and then there was the main one. And he started to set everyone up like strategically around the circle, like where he wanted to place everyone. Since he knew me and my friend knew each other, for example, for years, he wanted us across from each other. We couldn't be next to each other. And I think he was just feeling out everyone's energy, who could be next to who. And so, yeah, I had my little yoga mat. I had like, everyone had a trash can in front of them and their little toilet paper. So then the shaman made us fill out like a little disclosure form and, you know, write out our intentions, why we were there, why we came, if we've had any past experiences with psychedelics or drugs, etc. And then one by one, we all got to sit face to face with the shaman before it all started, and we got to just feel each other out and tell him our intentions and such. And when it was my turn to sit with him, he was completely just reading me fully, like my whole energy, and he's just like, you're really nervous right now. You know, I know that you've been through a lot in life and you've always had to be the strong person, but you don't have to always be the strong person, etc. Like tonight is night to release and such. And then we got to talking about my past experiences with psychedelics, and he did mention how DMT, like the crystallized form, is not recommended because it can cause psychosis, like when you're tripping, and that it's better if you take the pure form, which is ayahuasca. We also spoke about my weed addiction at the time and alcoholism, how I had been drinking not as much as I used to during college, but I still drank, and weed at that time, I could say that I was addicted because I was smoking like all day long, every single day. So he was talking to me about that, and I already knew my trip was gonna revolve around this a little bit. I remember being so nervous and just taking deep breaths, trying to ground myself, allowing myself to commit, to surrender, to reassure myself that I was going to be and that I was in good hands, that everything was going to be okay, that this was the experience that I needed, that I was brought here and guided here for a reason. And so I was having that moment while everyone was getting to talk to the shaman. I was taking deep breaths, grounding myself, just being ready to surrender, because I knew what was about to happen. Like, I didn't know, because obviously this was going to be my first experience, but I had a very clear idea of what was about to go down. I knew that it wasn't going to be easy. So first, before we got started, the shaman explained everything. He had a little setup, I'll share it here. You know, he had all his medicines and our offerings, the flowers, some sage, some cleansing bundles, and etc. He was explaining what we were about to get into. I also want to express the importance of having a shaman. Not only that, having the respect of a shaman and respecting what they do. And I feel like you can't really gain that respect fully until you sit with ayahuasca and you actually feel or see a shaman working with you and guiding you through a trip. Also, having the respect for indigenous people, indigenous communities, indigenous shamans. I'm very, very grateful that the shaman that I was able to experience this with was indigenous. So this was super amazing. I knew that I was in good hands. All right, so the very first thing that we did was rapé. If you're not familiar with what rapé is, this is a diverse group of smokeless tobacco problems. So rapé is a diverse group of smokeless tobacco products indigenous to South America, is generally used as a nasal snuff, and contains substantial amounts of plant material with or without tobacco. And I just want to make this very clear that rapé is and can be addictive. I literally know people who have gotten addicted to rapé. It's nothing to take lightly. And the thing is that rapé might be introduced to you through like a ceremony, where, in my opinion, that's the only place where you should be consuming this. It may be introduced to you through like a ceremony like this. Maybe you continue to go to ceremonies and then you get your hands on some in like another country, and then you end up taking, you know, 1 dose a day, turns into 2, turns into 3 a day, turns into 4, turns into having to do rapé for every single thing. I know people who have gone through this, and it is addictive. It is very addictive, so I'm just putting that out there. I personally don't think I would ever want to do it again, mainly because of my experience that I had with it was just horrible. Yeah, I'm reading this article and it says rapé is a fine ground up shamanic snuff. It contains nicotiana rustica, a type of tobacco also known as mapacho. So they also sell these like cigs, they're called mapacho. I've seen people get addictive, I'm telling you. It's different from the tobacco used in cigarettes, which is nicotiana tabacum. So although it contains tobacco, you don't want to smoke rapé. Instead, it's administered into your nose. Hey. Hello. So yeah, rapé is administered through your nose, and ideally how this is supposed to be done is in a ceremony where the shaman, it's like this tool, it's like double-sided. He's blowing it into your nose and you're consuming it. you know, you can do your own research if I'm not painting the right picture, but all I'm saying is don't do this at home. Save this for a sacred place, sacred time and place for everything, you know? So here we are, we're going around the circle, and I was sitting next to this guy who, this was like his 23rd ayahuasca ceremony. This guy's like 5 years younger than me. My mind was blown. I was like, that's crazy. What are you doing? Like, so anyways, I'm sitting by this guy, and then sitting by this girl. I don't know her. We didn't get to talk, to be honest. So I'm at the end of this big circle. There's like, if I remember correctly, the group was either 10 or 15 people. And so they started at the other side, and I'm the type of person who, when we're gonna do something where I'm like nervous, I always want to go first because I want to get it over with. So I had to be patient and wait, but they're going around and everyone is doing rapé. The shaman is administering it to the person, right? And everyone seems to be handling it right, but he did explain how it depends on the person. It always depends on the person. Everyone's body is different, going to react different, and how some people can instantly begin to purge. Either you'll puke or whatever, and you might begin to hallucinate a little, like have visuals. And so here comes my turn, and he has to do both nostrils, and you have to hold it for, you know, a few seconds. So here I am struggling because it feels like a bunch of pokey shards going up your nose, and I've never done that before. So it was so hard for me, so hard. It was brutally painful, not only to go up my nose, but it instantly made my eyes water. So I'm like, oh, what just happened to me? And as soon as he did it to me, then I immediately started purging instantly. It was mind-blowing how that happened instantly, and I started hallucinating. I was seeing like fractals and stuff. And actually after that ceremony, I came to find out that it wasn't just rapé. I think it had something else in there. Who knows? But anyways, yeah, I was the only one from the group who started puking right away, and I was struggling. I was sitting crisscross, and my legs were like shaking up and down because I was trying to calm myself down when I was consuming it. Like it was really hard for me. I'm not even gonna lie. It was so hard. And at that moment, I was like, what is this gonna be like? This is not gonna be easy. And I was like, there's no way out. There's no way out. No one can save me. I've already committed to this. What am I gonna do? But I was struggling. So yeah, here we are. We all did a round of rapé. I'm the one struggling the most, and I'm just thinking, well, this is gonna be really hard for me. Like I could just feel it. And I started to talk to myself and say, you were brought here for a reason. This is a safe space. Whatever it is you need to purge, release it. This is the place to do it. Everyone is here for that same reason, to purge out or to cleanse or to, you know, gain some clarity or, you know, to receive something. And so I began to calm myself down, like, you can do this, don't worry, you're strong. That's one thing that I actually was affirming. I was like, you're so strong, because like I mentioned, my previous DMT trip before this, I was told that I was a very strong soul and that this ran through my family, that I'm very, very strong. So yeah. All right, so next comes ayahuasca, the very first cup. So we got offered 3 cups throughout the night, and in between those cups of ayahuasca, we were offered something called Changa. So Changa, let me read this off to you. So Changa is a smoking blend containing various herbs infused with DMT, dimethyltryptamine, extract. DMT is a powerful psychedelic compound that naturally occurs in certain plants and animals. Changa is designed to be smoked and is often used as an alternative to other DMT containing preparations such as ayahuasca. The exact ingredients of Changa can vary, but it typically includes a combination of DMT containing plants like Psychotria viridis, I'll put the word up here, Diplopteris caberana. Whoa. This is traditional ayahuasca ingredients, along with other herbs. These additional herbs are believed to modify the experience and make it more gentle or smoother compared to smoking pure DMT. Changa is often used for psychedelic effects, which can include intense visual and auditory hallucinations, altered perception of time and space, and profound spiritual experiences. Like other psychedelic substances, the effects of Changa can vary from person to person and setting, play crucial roles in shaping the experience. So I think some really important points that were said there is because we were in this beautiful setting in the middle of the jungle, in nature, in darkness, pure darkness. This enhances your trip. I was well aware of that, but I was ready to experience something completely new. The other major point is that Changa is smoked. If I remember correctly, it felt like a big joint. Or was it a pipe? I don't remember correctly, I'm not gonna lie, but I was excited for this because that time I was a huge weed smoker, so I was like, oh yeah, just pretend it's weed, take a little hit, you know? So the shaman mentioned to everyone how Changa was optional and that you didn't have to take it, and that also went for the other glasses of ayahuasca. They were optional, but for some people they were going to be necessary and required, and he was going to make you take them. And believe it or not, this shaman can read right through you. Like, he knows. He is a shaman. He can feel your energy and everything that you need in that ceremony, in that very moment. And so he knows, and I know for some people he made them take it, but also he said that your soul will know if you need Changa. And so we're taking the first glass of ayahuasca, right? And it's like this big glass like this, and it's dark purple, almost black. It kind of tastes like nasty elderberry sauce. Very earthy. It does not taste good. I've heard that supposedly peyote or ayahuasca will taste good to you if your soul is pure and cleansed, but I'm not even gonna lie, mine was not good. It was not good. I know there were other people struggling to consume it as well. And so, you know, they're starting at the other end of the circle. Once again, here I am being patient, and I'm already tripping off of the rapé alone, for real. Mind you, I did fast. I fasted that the day before. I only ate fruits and drank coconut water and water. The day of, which is basically a whole day because we weren't gonna trip till the night, I only drank coconut water. So my body was feeling very clean, you know? Despite being in Mexico and being tempted to eat all this Mexican food, no, I had to be good. I was committed. I was committed because I knew that I was ready. All right, so here comes the glass of ayahuasca. And I'm thinking, oh, you fuck. I'm like, fuck. I was like, you got this, girl. You got this. Like, God, be with me right now. And I was just setting my intention. I'm here to receive whatever is necessary for my healing. I am open to receiving. Thank you for this guidance. I was very grateful. I put my intentions out. And so, you know, I got this ayahuasca. I took a sip of it, and it was disgusting. I wanted to yak it as soon as I could, but they told us that you had to hold it in for at least like 5 minutes. If I remember correctly, 5 minutes minimum, because if you puke it right away, it's not gonna have the same effects. Like, you have to hold it in, do everything you can in your power to hold it in at least okay? And these ingredients, I'm sure these ingredients are not cheap or easy to get access to, so you have to do your best. And so I'm here trying to sip on my first glass, struggling so hard. One of the ladies, the shaman, comes over and she is giving me, you know, words of affirmation, of like motivation. She's like, you know, tú puedes, come on, like in Spanish and such. And I actually like put my hand over my mouth and I was just like, bro, whatever you do, I was like, don't puke it all, puke it, don't puke it out, just hold it in, because you have this urge to start purging already. But I'm like, nah, just wait. So I waited and I managed to chug it. I was like, think of this like a shot of alcohol, just take it. And I did. But the hardest thing was holding it in. So I was like, just hold it. Oh, it was a struggle. It was such a struggle. So then what happened after that is I started the purge. And for me, luckily, I didn't shit my pants or pee my pants, but I was puking. And I wouldn't say it was crazy. It was all right. I was puking here and there, purging. Everyone else in the circle was as well. You're supposed to, it's a good thing. And I've said this before, even with mushrooms, if you ever get nauseous and you puke, it's because you need to. Your body is trying to release something and it is necessary for, you know, you to receive downloads or information. It's kind of like a blockage, you know? Think of our bodies like we're eating, consuming for years and years. And if you never take the time to fast or anything, your body's in trouble. So anyways, here I am purging, right? It's going good, whatever, I'm purging. And I start to hallucinate a little, like, whoo, and I'm like, whoa, I should go pee before I completely lose myself. So I got up and I'm still telling myself positive affirmations, like, you could do it. Okay, the bathroom is right there. Just follow the candles. It's like pitch black, you know? Just follow the candles, like, go to the bathroom fast, like, pee. You know, you had to bring your own toilet paper as well. And then I'm like, come back. So I made it. But when I was sitting in that bathroom, I was having scary thoughts. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, fuck, I'm about to start tripping balls. So I go back to my yoga mat as soon as I could. And then the shaman offers the first round of Changa. As I explained to you guys, that is smokable. I was excited about that, okay? And although I was kind of struggling, I immediately raised my hand when he offered it. I just knew. I was like, he's like, raise your hand and keep it up and I'll come around. And I immediately raised my hand. I was like, he was right. Like, my soul knew that I needed it, because he did mention how for some people, and not all shamans do this, that's the thing, wherever you go for a ceremony, it's going to be different for you because they don't all do the same exact thing. And so for his ceremony, I felt like it was very special because he did include this, and he explained why he includes it, because some people need it. Some people need that extra push to get to the other side. They need it to break through. Y'all know this book, if you've ever read it or if you're going to, it talks a lot about the breakthrough. Like, there's a sweet spot that you need for DMT to break through. Boom, you're blasted, right? Way beyond out of here. And so that's exactly what Changa did for me. It's what I needed. It's what I really needed. And so the shaman, the girl comes around and she is, now that I'm remembering, she's lighting up the pipe for me because she was helping me do this. As soon as it lit up, you know, I'm looking at her in the eyes and all I start to see is her eyes, and she's guiding me through it, like, hold it, you know, hold it. And I just see her big eyes and everything starts to disappear. and it's just like her eyes, and I was like, whoa, she is like an angel. And then I just slowly start to fall over on my yoga mat, and my whole trip it was laying down. So as soon as I smoked, I was completely out of here. I was blasted out of here, kind of similar to DMT, to be honest. So that's when my trip really started, and I'm actually grateful that I got the purging done at the beginning, and I didn't really feel the need to do it when I was laying down. Like, I was so grateful that I was able to lay back and enjoy my trip, you know? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that before I did any of this, right after the rapé, we were offered, this was optional, to take some drops in your eyes that were going to help enhance your hallucinations. And I thought to myself, I'm already here. I think I'm gonna go all in. Like, you know, I'm already only doing this for one night. I want to experience it all. And everyone there was actually there for only one night. So that was really beautiful to experience the energy with everyone. But yeah, they came around, they put drops in my eyes, and it definitely enhanced the hallucinations. And I was just seeing fractals, like beautiful, beautiful fractals. If I can find some, I'll show some here on the screen. These fractals that you see some artists do or share via like Pinterest, or if you ever go to Mexico, or if you ever see them anywhere, these shamanic art pieces, they're very shamanic. This is literally what you see when you are tripping on dimethyltryptamine or Madre Ayahuasca. It is these beautiful, gorgeous fractals. And of course, you may have visions or see other entities or other things, you know, like past lives and such, where maybe you're not seeing the fractals in the very moment. So I'm in my trip, I'm laying back, my eyes are closed, and I immediately begin to tell myself, surrender, surrender. I could still remember this. I was speaking to myself. I was like, my higher self was like, surrender, surrender. It's okay, let go. Keep letting go. Keep letting go. It's okay. Trust, trust. And every time that I did that, it felt like I kept letting go, and I kept letting go, and I kept letting go. And I was like, less weight on me, you know? And I was like, let go, let go, let go. I think that Joe Rogan said this once in a podcast, where it's like, you have to let go and let go. That always stuck with me, but I actually lived that. So before the full-on intensity of my trip, I had so much to purge and to accept. And the purging wasn't necessarily me throwing up or coming out of me. It was more so like letting go, letting go, letting go, and accepting. When I was laying there, it felt like I was having a full body renewal. All of my cells were being renewed, rejuvenated. It's like this photo. That's literally how I was. This is so accurate. This is so accurate. In the eyes and all this is so accurate. And one of the major things is that I had to accept being loved, and that I was deserving of love, and that I needed so much love, and that it's okay for me to accept love from other people. And I began to feel the energy of like my mother and my brother specifically, and my husband, major people in my life, my people, the souls who are here for me and to help me grow truly. And I just felt like I needed so much love. And so I'm laying there accepting the fact that I need so much love. I started to have flashbacks of meeting all the people from the group. Like before the ceremony, I was having flashbacks of us hugging and everyone being so friendly. And I felt, this is what I felt, that that ceremony was for me, and that everyone was there for me to help me purge. And I was laying there accepting the fact that it's okay, because I'm the one who needed the most love out of the group. And this may or may not be true, but this was just my experience. Meanwhile, everyone's tripping, having their own experience, right? But this is what I was feeling, is that everyone was there for me, like looking down at me. And I could feel everyone hugging me, being like, yeah, you need love. I felt like I needed so much guidance and help through my journey. And the shaman knew this, because at one point he had this white chair. He came and sat behind me. I knew he was there. I don't know if I opened my eyes, because to be honest, the whole trip itself is kind of hard to remember. If you've ever experienced psychedelics, you know this. There's some things you can't bring back. It's just that experience changed you, but you can't bring back every single thing. But I remember seeing him, and he was back here and he was helping me. I don't know what he was doing, but he was helping me purge, because I had saliva coming out of me. I couldn't move my body, and I was also doing body movements, just like a different type of purge. And when he was sitting back here, I saw the shamans in their like shamanic realm. I saw them dancing like with big feathers. And another beautiful thing is that the shaman had beautiful, calming, like shamanic music playing in the background. And I don't remember what this is called, but I know some shamans do this. It's like specific sounds throughout the ceremony that activate your purging. And it definitely did, because like he has a little music playing, but on top of that he's making like either little drum sounds or something very intense, right? And every time I would hear that, my body would purge. I was like, whoa, I was releasing something with the sounds. It was very beautiful. So I saw the shamans like tum, 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 surrounding me, guiding me. I was like, look at all my spirit guides and all my guidance. I was like, whoa. It encouraged me to let go more. I was like, surrender. Let them help you heal. Let them, allow them to. And interestingly, when the ceremony finished, there was a guy sitting across from me. A lot of these people had gifts. And this guy was, I didn't know him. He was Mexican too, and he was asking me if I had any family from Michoacan. Now, if I can find the screenshot of what he told me, the exact word, he told me that he saw me as this during my trip, that he was seeing everyone in their past lives. And he saw me as this like indigenous Indian girl, not Indian, but she from Michoacan descent, and she had like big braids and such. Yeah, and so it was mind-blowing, because I was like, yeah, my whole family is from Michoacan. And he's like, yeah, I saw you during your trip. So that was really interesting too. So as I'm laying there accepting love and what love is, and that love is all and such, I am then taken through what life is. The major thing that I remember from my trip, being taken through what life is. And it felt like Mother Ayahuasca was holding my hand, and she was just guiding me. She was like, do you understand? And I would be shown something like energetically or visually, and she's like, do you understand? I'm like, yeah. This is where you come in through life, and why you come here on the earth realm, and your parents, specifically my mother. I felt my mother's energy through my entire trip, and it was guiding me. And I also learned about my mom, that she is very, very wise. I already know this, though. She is very, very wise. She is unable to do, well, I don't want to affirm this for her, but she doesn't like to do such things like get on a plane, catch a flight somewhere because she has a fear of flying. So she's unable to have experiences like this that I enjoy doing. And so I felt like I was doing that work for her as well, because she would never do that. She would never sit with ayahuasca, but I would. And I just felt all of her energy. So there I am, I'm being guided through what life is and how ayahuasca is God. That's something that I felt very heavily, and that ayahuasca is the answer. Whatever it is that you're growing through in life, feeling, processing, breakups, addictions, anything, ayahuasca can heal you. She is extremely powerful. And so I was also shown how I have the ability to guide other people to ayahuasca, because once you have that feeling of knowingness that you've sat and you've experienced her, you're like, oh, I get it. I get it. I have an understanding of life and what life is, this wild experience. And some people meet you to be guided to their healing. She was guiding me through life, and I was just like nodding my head and smiling. I was like, yes, I understand now. I get it. Meanwhile, the girl next to me, like I said, I didn't get to interact with her. Out of all the people in the circle, she was one of them. She was on her side. Everyone is really, really close to each other. We're all really close to each other. She was laying on her side, facing me, bawling her eyes out, like crying like crazy, just crying for her mom. She was speaking in Spanish, like, "Ama, te extraño, te quiero mucho," you know, like, "Mom, I miss you, I love you so much." Like, you could feel her pain. Like, I felt her pain for real. And she was actually guiding me through my trip as well, because she was expressing herself very verbally. And one thing that they did, the shaman made very clear, is to not interact with anyone during their trip. You might want to hug them or say something to them, but just let them be, let them go through their trip, right? And so I didn't feel called to anyways. I'm like, oh, I'm going through my own trip. But everything she was expressing verbally, I was feeling connected to. Like, she was talking about her mom, then I started thinking about my mom, where I was like, oh, like, I love my mom so much. I have so much love for my mother, everything she's done for me, and I am her in a way. And so that was very healing. And at the end of the ceremony, everyone got to explain briefly, like, their experience of their trip. Like, we went around the circle, and she was saying how her mother had just passed away, and the shaman said, your mom was there with you the entire time. Like, she was there during your trip the whole time, and she wants you to know that she's at peace and that you need to let her go. And, you know, she was expressing how she knows, and that she was just, you know, sad about it, grieving about it. Another major thing during my trip that came through was my addiction, and the addiction of alcoholism in my family. Like, some of my uncles growing up, I don't know if they still do, but also like my brothers, and just what that really means about people is like the love that they need or that they crave, and we try to mask that by consuming alcohol. And that was something that really took over my life, like, years back. And after that trip, I haven't drank alcohol since then. I don't plan to. I can see why it can be so damaging to you. Overall, if I were to explain my experience, it was just this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sense of unity with the universe and life. And I've already, well, life is the universe, you know. I've already experienced that on psychedelics, but it was a different type of knowingness. This was like so deep. so immensely deep. I'd say that overall my experience was pretty pleasant. Like, it wasn't easy in a sense that I had to purge and accept a lot of things and go face to face with things that I wasn't really grasping in this 3D reality. Like, oh, I really do need a lot of self-love, things like that. But it was pleasant in a sense that I felt so at peace with surrendering to the magic and surrendering to the unknown and just allowing the guidance of the shamans, of my ancestors, just feeling it all. I'll finish off by saying that another major thing throughout my experience was how everything is destined. I don't know if anyone has ever felt this before, but I was having visuals and flashbacks, like aside from the fractals and such, of me and my friend, my husband and I, how my husband is one of my guides in this lifetime, and how the DMT trip before was indeed a guide to my trip to ayahuasca. Before I flew to Mexico, I was eating healthier, cleaner. This was my body, my higher self, preparing me for this. So I was shown how everything in your life is happening for a reason. And I know that's so hard to grasp sometimes, but the reality is that it is. It's all working out for you. There's this beautiful song, one of my favorite songs actually, by Kid Cudi, the song By Design. You know how it goes, oh, tap into the frequency light, tap into the frequency light. You know what? Kid Cudi is very woke. Now when I listen to his music, I'm like, oh, he was in another dimension. Things he says, moments don't pass me up, no, cause I see them in stride. Tell them when he never gave me and when I eternally have faith, and the choices you made, it's all by design. Go with it, come on, don't fuck up the feng shui. That's deep. And the choices you made, it's all by design. Come on, don't fuck up the feng shui. Do you understand what he's saying? When you think too much, you're removing what's moving. Statue, look at you. You need to revisit this song, guys. By Design, Kid Cudi. I'm telling you, he knows. So everything's by design. That is a very clear message that I got. Comment below if you feel me on that. Do you think that everything in our lives is by design or not? I feel like I'm forgetting something about my ceremony. It was actually quite a few months ago. I just continued to travel and live my life and such that I never made the space to record this video and share with you guys. But I held on to what I remember the most, and like I mentioned, you're not going to remember everything from your trip. That experience is, at the end of the day, just for you and for your soul growth. And if you're feeling called, sometimes you gotta follow the calling. Just be prepared. Take it serious. Prepare your body more than anything. Your body and your mindset. It's very important, because I know people who have gone into like a 3-day or a 6-day ceremony and they leave after the first because they had no idea how intense it was going to be. So let me just read off some last notes that I have here so you can know kind of what to expect with ayahuasca. So ayahuasca can give you an altered perception of reality. This is true for all psychedelics. It often includes vivid and intense visual and auditory hallucinations, with users experiencing a heightened sense of color, sound, and overall sensory perception. This is because DMT allows you to experience higher dimensions. That's why you feel like you have an out-of-body experience, because you do. You leave your body and you die. You do die. I should have mentioned this at the beginning, but I died. You die and you come back to life, a new person in a sense, and it's up to you to make the changes in your life that you had to face on your trip and that you were shown. It's really up to you. Look, it says, I expect to jump to a higher level, to leave the body and ego consciousness, the jump into cosmic space. There's something that they call the psychedelic threshold for DMT. You cross it when there is a separation of consciousness from the body, and the psychedelic effects completely replace the mind's normal contents. There is a sense of wonder or awe and a feeling of undeniable certainty in the reality of the experience. Experiences smoking DMT were typical in this person's specific experience. They said, a startlingly rapid onset of effects, a kaleidoscopic display of visual hallucinations, and a separation of consciousness from the physical body. Once again, you leave your body. And most curiously, there was a feeling of the other somewhere within the hallucinatory world to which this remarkable psychedelic allowed them entrance. It's like the key. It gives you a key to enter the cosmic world. All right, the other thing that you may experience is spiritual insights. Of course, you're being shown so much when you're blasted out of here that you have these higher spiritual realm insights. You know, this sense of unity, of this inner standing. You may experience this emotional release. You know, ayahuasca brings out a lot of emotions. I was crying during my trip here and there as well, ranging from euphoria, joy, to fear and sorrow. Some people experience a cathartic release of a repressed emotion. You have a bunch of repressed emotions. They're bound to pour out of you. You're supposed to feel them. Time distortion. That's another thing for me. When the trip was over, like, we started at night, I'd say like 7 p.m. and I woke up at 6 a.m. So I was tripping the whole night. I was tripping the whole night, and we woke up to the jungle sounds, the animals, the sun was starting to shine. I was like, what? Complete time distortion. Like, time was, it was a complete illusion. Like, I had no idea. I had no idea what time it was. I was not there. I was completely not there. It's like going to sleep, but you're tripping. Okay, I forgot to mention, but what happened after I took Changa is that I was in that trip for a very long time. You know, like I mentioned, the shaman was guiding me through like purging and moving through the trip, you know, etc. It lasted probably hours if I were to guess. And then he offered another cup of ayahuasca, but I was deep tripping that I didn't even realize that he did, so I couldn't. Then when I think I stood up at one point, like sitting down, and he offered the third, and I took it and nothing happened, but I waited because I really wanted to experience, okay, what does just the ayahuasca feel like without the Changa? So when he offered Changa another round, I really wanted to take it, knowing that I would blast off again, but I didn't, because I really wanted to experience just the brew itself and what that would feel like. But to be honest, it never really gave me anything like beyond what the Changa did. So for me, it was a super intense trip at first, and then I was still having like subtle effects after. But I was like the last one to get up from my yoga mat. Everyone was sitting, and I didn't realize the sun was up. I was like, what? And there was like a fire in the middle, and then they started to play shamanic music. The shaman was singing. Everyone was feeling like well, most people were feeling like joyful and happy, like, oh, they had just let go of so much. There was one girl next to me who was completely miserable, like she didn't want to join the group because she had no idea what, I got to speak with her, and she had no idea what she was about to get into. So it was very intense for her, like the things she saw, and she didn't completely let go and purge of some things, because like in the morning when we were around the fire, the shaman was telling us, oh, there's someone here in the circle. There's a couple people who chose not to let go, who chose not to release, and they're struggling right now. They're really, really struggling. And I knew she was one of the people he was talking about, because as soon as he's saying that, she turns around and starts puking in her bucket, and he starts going, suéltalo, suéltalo, like let go, let go, let go. So yeah, it was interesting. There was this other person who was also kind of struggling. So I was just coming back to life, to be honest, like hearing the music and such. I was feeling good though. I was like in complete awe of what I had gone through. And then there was also another person, like when we were sharing our experience, this girl is Cuban, if I remember correctly. And, she was saying how during her trip, she saw a little like fuzzy guy, like a little mono, walking past her, and that it was trying to steal her trash bin, and that she grabbed her trash bin, she's like, no, and that she was like trying to get it to go away. And the shaman said, actually guys, like we had like a demonic force visit us here tonight. And I confronted it and I asked it, like, what do you want? What do you hear? And it was that girl. He started to call out the girl. He's like, you practice Santeria, like you play with death, like your meaning of death is very different. And then she started like debating. She's like, no, like I just have a total different view of death, and like something like, I don't know, some santeria, some like brujeria kind of shit, and he started going off like, no, blah, blah, like brought that energy here, something, but that the guy that was next to that girl, his ancestors practiced like hoodoo and whatnot, and he started doing like drawings in the sand, and he started to like repel the little demon. It was just all so interesting because, when you're taking a trip, again, it's important to have a shaman because you never know what kind of energies or entities you're working with or dealing with. When your vessel is open like that, a lot of energies can come through. So it's super important to do the cleansing, the whole everything, so doing this in a ceremony was so beautiful. All right, so as I was saying, other things that you may experience: physical sensation, sensations such as nausea. There's no getting away from that, to be honest. You gotta embrace it. Vomiting, the purging, changes in body temp are common. Also, I do know people who like legit shit themselves, and if you've seen these ayahuasca like retreat videos on YouTube and such, you see that some people it looks like they're possessed, or they shit themselves. Like all these stuff could really happen. It's just dependent on you. So another thing is confrontation with the subconscious. So ayahuasca is said to bring individuals face to face with their deepest fears, unresolved issues, and aspects of their subconscious mind. This can be challenging, but is often viewed as a necessary step for personal growth. So yes, indeed, you face it all. You face your demons. You might come across a demonic entity. Anything can happen. So you gotta go in there strong and just embrace it. Surrender. Like, I know I keep saying that, but that's really like my tip if I were to give you any advice, is just surrender. And that was pretty much my experience. It was very, very beautiful and magical, the fact that I have the opportunity to do this in Mexico. And so, you know, the rising of, after, you know, we all sang some songs around the campfire and took some photos, talked amongst each other. Then like a group of us ended up going out to breakfast and such. So it was beautiful. It was very beautiful. I quit alcohol after that, and to be honest, I definitely quit smoking so much weed, and I quit for like quite a few weeks after that. It was really just up to me if I wanted to continue to, because ayahuasca does make it easier for you to do so, to let go of certain things, addictions, people, etc. That was my beautiful experience dying on ayahuasca and coming back to life. I am so grateful, so grateful for the beautiful, ancient, sacred medicine. So grateful for the shamans who dedicate their life to help other people heal and to guide them through their journey. And I'm just so grateful to be here. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Please make sure to drop a comment below. Do you have any questions? Are you curious about anything? Do you have anything to add on? Did anything stand out to you during my experience? What are your thoughts on this topic? Let's connect, and don't forget to subscribe. Sending you love wherever you are in the world.